post the link for everybody to join. Alright, those of you just tuning into the stream, welcome. Let us know that you are here. Let us know where you're watching from. I'll post a link for everyone to watch in the Facebook chat, so hang tight. There we go. As we get ready to rock and roll. But I am joined tonight by two fellows. That would be Gaming Legend and Chad. We got a mic check on you guys?
Hey, how's everybody?
Hey, Mystic.
Alright. You guys let me know if you can hear those guys. Good to have you guys on the stream tonight. Welcome. We did not do this last night, obviously. It was Easter Sunday. We decided to take that whole day off and let everyone spend the holiday with their families. Obviously, the real NASCAR race, Cup race, was at Richmond last night, so wasn't the greatest time frame to have the podcast. And we were off yesterday. We had no World of Outlaws race Sunday night because of Easter. Had no Formula One race tonight, so it kind of fit perfectly. So we're gonna break down the last week of action. It was kind of an interesting week. We had some highs, had some lows, had some surprises as well, and preview the week of dirt, as you would call it, for Mystic Racing League. It's going to be a very exciting week for the NASCAR drivers, as they will tackle some dirt racing for the first and only time this season. So it's going to be, like I said, an exciting week. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but usually we start with the World of Outlaws. As I mentioned, there was no World of Outlaws race this weekend, or recently, as you would say, but so there will be no World of Outlaws talk tonight. But let's get started with the Formula One race this past week. Formula One competed at Miami. Miami, the first of 3 Grand Prix events in the United States. So we have Miami before going to COTA, Circuit of the Americas, which is the most popular one. That's the longest tenured event Grand Prix for the Formula One. And Las Vegas, which is the newest one. Las Vegas is probably the most hyped up. If you watch real Formula One, you know Las Vegas was a big talk, probably the most anticipated one. It's Las Vegas. I mean, it kind of self-explanatory there. But we don't race Las Vegas until later in the season. So, but yeah, Miami, the count was a little down. We had 10 drivers, but the racing was exciting. Had some wet weather in the area. We had some actually heavy rain early on. But unlike the week before, where I think, where were we the week before? Was it China? The rain didn't last the duration of the race almost. So the rain lasted about half the race. We did have our first red flag due to a crash early on. So we got to experience that. Gaming Legend, F1 Addict. It was actually Gaming Legend who got the whole shot with the start and ran away for the first few laps. I believe he actually got off so good from the line that he got a drive-through penalty, if I was correct. There was a few guys, 2 or 3 guys who got that drive-through penalty. But guys like myself, Kime, we all got into a scuffle there in the first few laps. So there was kind of going back to the highs and lows. Those drivers that had a pretty decent race, those drivers who had a up and down race. But I think everybody, including the winner of the race, had at least one scuffle throughout the night. We want to mention Kluka. Kluka was not in attendance for this race. He had other plans, didn't get home till late, so Kluka took a hit in the points. F1 Addict was able to get back to victory lane, win 2 in a row. He becomes the first driver, I believe, this season to win 3 races. So F1 Addict was able to drive away late in the second half. Pink Salmon, I think Pink Salmon, I will put it on him. He was the only driver that I mentioned, that I heard from all night, who really didn't get into many mistakes. Maybe one, and it was a small one. But all that mixed together, Pink Salmon just didn't have enough pace to get close to F1 and have a shot at the win. Pink Salmon did settle for second, and a big confidence booster for that team and that driver, as he had a rough race a few weeks ago at Japan, but he has the most podiums this season. Ties F1 and Kluka, or now F1 rather, with the most podiums with 5. Gaming Legend, we mentioned, had a good start and was able to bring home the final spot on the podium. Kime 4th, and Zed with his career best finish in 5th. But the F1 race was, as we mentioned, it was a roller coaster of a night. We finished on dry conditions, and it was a wild one, to say the least. I don't think it was the wildest one, but it was a wild one. F1, with his win, extends his points lead to 18 over Pink Salmon, as 115 to 97. Kluka stays in 3rd with 75, Mystic 4th with 70, and Gaming Legend 5th with 63. As far as the constructor standings go, AlphaTauri 115, Red Bull 103, Aston Martin 97, Ferrari 92, and McLaren 72. F1 the Formula 1 was off tonight. They will head to Imola next week for race number 7, I want to say. I think it's number 7. But that will begin the stretch of, I believe, about 6 races. So some more racing coming up for those guys. And we are always looking to increase our count over there. Gaming Legend, you were a part of that race. We have you on here. You had a lot better night than I had, but still you felt like you made a few too many mistakes and could have had a second place finish, but still need to be a lot more consistent, as I believe you said it in your post-race interview. But what do you take away from Monday's event at Miami?
It was pretty wild, but definitely not as wild as some of the races we've had in F1 so far. First red flag, that was definitely something new. Being on new to F1, I didn't know really what the red flag was. I didn't know it was complete restart, just like it was from the drop, like it would be from the drop of the green flag. So that was exciting. The first part of the race, we were pretty quick. F1 actually wasn't catching us, but we did get a drive-through penalty, so we led like the first 4 laps, and then ultimately had to serve that drive-through, and that set us back, and then ultimately never was able to get anything, but settled for another podium. So yeah, hopefully we can get a win here soon. But great racing all the way around. Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Still learning from. I'm still learning on that side. So we'll see what next Monday brings. But good job to all the competitors, and everybody did good. Congrats to F1 and Pink on their podiums, and everybody else that competed. It's always a learning experience for me when I come over there. So I'll just keep learning.
Now, Chad, while we have you here, I want to throw the question on here to you.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've already asked you. When are you going to come see us on Formula 1?
The first Monday I have off. We have the game now. We've been practicing with Gaming Legend here, and yeah, the first Monday I'm off, I'll be there. May even bring some company with me.
Oh, really? What's the company?
You know what I'll be talking about. We'll have to clear that through the league offices, but the little man's been on me.
Little man, okay. So where would you set your goals for Formula 1? I know that's really outside of your box. You've always been a true staple NASCAR guy. I mean, dirt we'll throw that in there as well. That's really where you originated from. But here the past few years, it's strictly been NASCAR. But open wheel, that's kind of not your forte, and I think you'll agree. But where would you rate your comfort zone entering Formula One?
Formula One's different to me. I just really worry about, like, I think I ran a handful last year. Really enjoyed that game, by the way. So I like to run it when I can. I'm not really fast at it, but I'm better than I thought I would be. I just like to compare myself lap times, like how many seconds behind that guy in front of me am I? So, but it's a really fun game.
It is. I mean, we got guys that are getting better every week. Gaming Legend, I think, has my vote for probably the most improved so far. But it's still a long way to go. As we mentioned, we got Imola coming up for race 7. We probably have the hardest track on the calendar, race 8, which is Monaco. So that should be a very interesting race. I know a lot of folks have their calendars circled for that race. A lot of unknowns entering that race. Obviously, the drivers who've played F1, they know how to get around Monaco, but passing is really going to be an unknown. Qualifying is going to be so important at Monaco, because if you've never seen Monaco or what it looks like, when I mean 85, maybe 90% of the track is 1.5 car width wide, if that, I really am not exaggerating. It is that narrow around Monaco. You're racing around a street circuit, and it is very tight. You are going to really have to pick your poison, pick your spots, and not get into the wall, which everyone, I'm pretty sure, is going to get to the wall on lap 1, probably turn 1. But it's 78 laps around that joint, and man, oh man, that is going to be, if you're a spectator in the stream, better have an extra bucket of popcorn, because it's going to be interesting. We go to Canada, Montreal, which is one of my favorite tracks. I consider it one of the easier tracks. That's where NASCAR actually ran in the early 2010s. Formula One's always been a staple there. I love that place. Not the easiest, but I consider it one of the easier Formula One tracks. Then Barcelona, which is Spain, for race number 10. That'll be towards the end of April, I think the last week of April. And then kickoff May, which is Austria at Spielberg. I think that is the easiest track we go to at Austria. Very smooth flowing track. It is the smallest track, I believe, still on the Formula One calendar. I think it's actually still the smallest track. Lap time should be about 1:10 around there. Maybe actually quicker with the new cars now. And then to round out this stretch, we go to Silverstone, which is a pretty technical track, and Hungary for the Hungarian Grand Prix, which is race 13. So we got a span of 7 races here in this little stretch coming up. And we'll have another off week and get to a lot more harder races. I know we got Spa, which is the largest track on the calendar, Singapore, which is a night race, Baku is a very tough track. But we're going on and on here. So Formula One, if you'd like to join our Formula One League, it's on Monday nights. It's cross-platform, so it doesn't matter what you play on, PC, Xbox, PlayStation. It's cross-platform F1 23. Even though it is April, I think today actually may be the last day to purchase F1 23 on the PlayStation as free game of the month, because I think it updates every Tuesday, the first Tuesday in the month, and tomorrow is the first Tuesday in April. So I think, by the sound of my voice right now, it is the last day to purchase F1 23 as the free game of the month on PlayStation. So, but regardless, if you have the game and haven't joined us and you're free on Monday nights, come join us. Staying on the topic of open wheel, the INDYCAR series they shifted to Road America on Wednesday night, this past Wednesday, for 45 laps, 181 miles of action, and had a really, really stout crowd, the biggest crowd they have had in 2024 yet. 12 drivers, and it was H-Rod claiming the pole position. Outside was JW. He's getting this qualifying thing down pat. If only he could transfer it to the race, and he had a really stout car. Mystic the favorite entering Wednesday. He had won the first 2 races of the season and looking to become the first driver to win the first 3 races of the season. Nobody had won the first 2 races of the season until Mystic done it a week prior, Algarve International Circuit, and he was on the move to do one better. But Story Square, the storylines entering that race: Story Square looking for his first IndyCar win. Kime looking for his first win of 2024. Did not have a good qualifying run. Davey Allison, we've talked to him a few times. He is getting the hang of the NASCAR stuff, picked up a couple of wins. He made his IndyCar debut on Wednesday at Road America and didn't do half bad. Ran top 5 a lot during the night before having fuel issues. Ran out of fuel on, I believe, early in stage, let me see, was it stage 3? It was right at the end of stage 2 as stage 3 started. So lap 26, he ran out of fuel. We had a lot of drivers run out of fuel. We had Davey Allison run out of fuel. We had Tasic run out of fuel. We had Eddie run out of fuel. It was just not a good night. And H-Rod, we speak about H-Rod. He qualified on the pole but had some sort of connection issues, and he did not even take the green flag. So he was scored 12th. Did not even take the green flag. So, unfortunate issues for that gentleman right there. But stage 1 came down to JW and Mystic. JW shot out of a cannon and ran away from Mystic. Mystic was slowly starting to reel him back in as the laps winded down. Don't think he would have got to him, but everybody had to make a green flag pit stop in the first stage. Fuel only. You're not allowed to take tires under green. So fuel only. Mystic closed a lot of gap entering pit road, took the lead under 3 laps to go, had it in the bag, was up by 2 seconds, and had a controller malfunction entering the next to last turn, went straight on into the wall. JW scooted on by and won stage 1 in a dramatic finish. Mystic finished second. The second stage, a lot of drivers bolted on the primary tires, which are the harder compound. I think we had one driver keep the softs on. Mystic was able to run away in that second stage on the primaries and win stage 2. Stage 3, it came down to Mystic and JW still the majority of the race. You got a theme here. Kime was in the mix as well. Kime got his car a little bit better, but all in all, Mystic was able to run away in that final stage, caution-free, and collect his 3rd straight win to kick off the 2024 campaign at Road America in dominant second-half fashion after what it looked like JW was going to be the car to beat. His car just didn't have the speed that it had early on, and Mystic's car got better. So Mystic won by 26.9 seconds. Story Square rounded out the podium in 3rd. Kime dropped back to 4th. Him and Story actually went at it hard there for those final few laps. Grimm was 5th, Diligent 6th. Those were all the drivers that finished the race. So it was an exciting night. Mystic is 3 for 3, and he will look to go 4 for 4 as the IndyCar Series roll to their first oval this Wednesday night at Texas. So a lot of eyes on Mystic to see what he can do. He has not ran that good at Texas in the past, so should be interesting to see what happens. Now, I know, Gaming Legend, you are expecting to make your IndyCar debut. Is it this week, or is it going to have to wait a week?
It'll probably have to wait a week.
I believe they sent you the wrong copy of the game.
Yep, that's correct.
That happens. So I would ask Chad when his IndyCar return is, but I don't think he's too fond with the IndyCars.
No, me and the IndyCars don't get along very well. Actually, though, I may need to show up because there is a streak going. If I show up, Mystic don't normally win.
Like I said, I just haven't ran that good at Texas in the past. I have one win.
You thinking about a bounty, double points? If you start stretching this out 4, 5, 6 races, can anybody beat Mystic in the IndyCar League?
I don't think I'll get that far. I mean, I could have easily lost all 3 of these races, but Castori, I think, had a little bit better of a car than me at Long Beach, the opener. Last week it was rainy. I think JW still had a better car than me. Story lagged out, so you never know what he could have done. And this week, I think JW, just to limit the mistakes, even he said it, he could have put together, and you never know. So I could easily be 1 for 3 or 2 for 3 or 0 for 3. So Texas, like I said, I've never ran that good at Texas. I have 1 win, and it came in the first ever season. So I have not won in the past 2 years. So I will tell you, Gunner is on the streak at Texas. Gunner will not be racing on Wednesday, but he has a really, really good car for Texas. He's won, I think, the last 3 at Texas. Now, obviously, that will change on Wednesday. We will have a new winner. But as I see Wade's in our stream. Hello, Wade. But you know, Wade, if he shows up, he knows how to get around Texas. He's one of the faster ones. But like I said, I don't see myself winning on Wednesday. But if it happens, then we're just really blessed.
Well, that was just my take on it from the outside viewing.
Well, I think you should show up, Chad. Just show up. It's Texas. It's an oval. It's not as complicated.
I've run Texas a couple times. we may do that. I think that's my first day off this week.
Yeah, I think you should just do it for fun. I mean, the race isn't as long as it usually is. I think it's only 125, 150 laps. So
yeah, I told Gaming if he got his car together and was on the track for INDYCAR, I'd run with y'all.
So
I would be there if they knew how to send me the correct game.
So NASCAR, the Xfinity Series, kept it on the road course this week at Mid-Ohio, and unlike the other road course races, this one was pretty exciting from start to finish. While, yes, Story Square led the majority of the race, it came down to the wire. It actually came down to a little fuel management, but let's walk you through it. It was a 75-lap race at Mid-Ohio, and we had 15 drivers in the field. It was still a good crowd. I know Gaming Legend, you were there. Chad, you were there. I know, Chad, you probably want to forget that night. You just didn't have the speed, the handling, which I've been there at Mid-Ohio. I have been there. Those nights seem like when they're 75 laps, the nights that you struggle seem like they're 200 laps. So I've definitely been there. Gaming Legend, I know you were caught up in a little incident stage 1, and I don't know if we ever had a call. Well, we did, but it was just too little too late for you to recover at that point. So, like I said, just tough break. Been there too. But Story Square, I believe, ended up winning both stages and was the car to beat. He did have to start 15th due to a setup issue before the race. It took too long, so he did have to go to the rear of the field, and ended up still winning the first stage, 25 laps, which took a little bit longer than you would think. Drivers like Kime, Adam, I think even involved Tents, Gaming Legend still one of them, and Davey Allison, all drivers who led laps in the race. I think even Mystic led a lap. That guy, yep. But Davey Allison qualified on the point, and unfortunately lagged out during the first stage, so a heartbreak for him. We lost Parky Plunger during the race as well. Finished with 13 cars, but the drivers at the end of the race, it came down to Story Square, Mystic, and Kime. Now, one of those names doesn't seem like it belongs with the other two, as Mystic has had, I don't want to use the term poor, but not great performances on the road courses this season. Sonoma and the Xfinity Series finished outside the top 10. Where did we run? Road America last week finished, I believe, 9th. So not something you would expect from Mid-Ohio. Mid-Ohio, one of his worst tracks on the calendar statistically in the Xfinity Series, but something came alive there in the second half of the race, and for some time in that final 10-15 laps, he was running a little bit faster than Story Square in the 7 car. It wasn't every lap. Some parts of the track he'd gain, then he'd lose, and he'd gain, and he'd lose. It was floating between 3 and 5 seconds. One mistake, and it ballooned to about 12 or 13 seconds. But while all 3 drivers had to pit at some point, Kime stayed out just to see how long he could go. He would end up pitting with about 3 laps to go, and Story Square would get around him with Kime coming down pit road, Mystic would get around him as well. But it came down to who is going to try to attempt to save to the end, but unfortunately none of them could do it. Story and Mystic had a few laps less than Kime. If Kime was going to be the one to pull it off, but he just couldn't make it happen. But Story Square would end up collecting another win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You remember, if watching last week's podcast, he lost last week's event in the Xfinity Series at Road America over a green-white checkered restart. So this one's got to feel really good for him. We talked to him post-race, and he said it's just redemption. It feels really good. He was very happy to get back to victory lane. Mystic would hold on for a second-place finish, his best finish at Mid-Ohio in the Xfinity Series since 2020. And just a win for him. The 9 team, they mentioned it felt like a win for him after the road course finishes they've had this year. Kime would finish 3rd, Adam 4th, and involved 10ths, rounding out your top 5 in a pretty good finish of a race. It came down to some strategy. You don't see that a lot in these road course races, but Story Square didn't lap the whole field. I consider that a win. But Chad, I have you here, and I know it's kind of a sore subject for you because you didn't have a good night on Thursday. You said you've missed so many races, not so many, just here recently you've missed a few races. There you go. But you were just showing up and trying to collect as many points as possible. What could you take away from Thursday's race, even though you struggled?
Oh, yeah, we struggled mightily. I mean, a lot of road courses. Our road course package just ain't the greatest over here. They're trying to get me better, but I'm a lost cause on road course. But no, we actually, toward the end of that race, surprised ourselves, started running a little bit more consistent, faster lap times toward the end of the race, and actually fought our way up pit cycle and stuff to 8th place. A group of cars caught us. Lap cars racing for position. You know, everybody just kind of everywhere, and got caught up with some misfortune there, and got pushed all the way back to 11th. And I was like, crap, because my goal was just to get the top 10. And then on coming to the checker flag, I think somebody had some issues, and I got around them. And we finished 10th, so we got a top 10. So we got a solid top 10 finish for a guy that can't get around any road course.
There you go. So, to Gaming Legend, I know you said the road courses before the first road course event even showed up, you feel like the road courses are really where you're going to gain some points on some folks. But and while you have ran good at the road courses this season, obviously just a bad night for you. I know you got caught up in some misfortune early on and just really never recovered. You finished right there with your teammate Chad. He finished 10th, you finished 11th. I mean, what could you take away, even though it wasn't 100% of your doing? What do you feel like your weaknesses were Thursday night and next road course race, even though it isn't Force of Time, that you guys can improve on as a team?
I just feel like, I don't know, stop being more careful, I guess, because what ultimately ruined our race was getting drove over 3 different times in 3 different parts of the track. Yeah, so I guess we just need to not be so nice going into the braking zones and treat others how they treat us, I guess. I'm not really sure. We've had a struggle. Seems like we won 2 races and we've been struggling ever since. So I don't really know what the game plan is. And back on the saddle and keep trucking, I guess.
Do you think your teammate? This is both of you. Do you think your teammate Story had a soaked set of tires and he forgot to give you guys some love?
No. Just Story Square is really good on these things, man. He can get around them. Chris is really good. And I ain't worth a crap, but like Chris said, we just keep trucking, right? A mile and a half's got to start coming at some point in time. Me and Chris get hot, and we'll be back on the podcast for winning more races and setting on the poles.
But
yeah, we would have been up there, but ultimately
it happens. I mean, yeah. When you run this long of a season, I mean, you can't be consistent and up front every single race. You're going to have the highs, you're going to have the lows. I mean, if I told you guys to write down your top 3 for Mid-Ohio last Thursday, respectfully, and this doesn't hurt my feelings, I don't think anybody would have put Mystic in their top 3. I wouldn't have put Mystic in my top 3. So, I mean, are you being honest with me now? Would you have put Mystic finishing in your top 3 at Mid-Ohio?
I would have put you top 5.
So, I probably wouldn't have put myself top 5, even though that's really my goal. I haven't had one. My highest finish is 9th all year.
I normally see you a couple times on a road course.
So, I mean, yeah, respectfully, I'm usually back there with Chad. We're usually back there for 12th. But, like I said, and yeah, I'm not afraid to say it, Story Square did help me for that race. So, I mean, but he's helped me every other race this season, and I still have not put it together, but for some reason, it just clicked at Mid-Ohio. So, next road course race, he may help me. I may run 14th again. So, it's just, like I said, it's a very hard league to be competitive in every single week. We saw the dominant drivers, the great drivers of Mystic Racing League, like Wide Open and even Jay Wood, who still races with us. They didn't win every week. All right, they had races where they ran 8th. They had races where they ran 12th, and they had races where they dominated. But they didn't dominate every single week. You gotta have bad times and bad nights, but you gotta take the bad with the good and move on. So it happens. Just part of it. I bet if we reran that race, I probably wouldn't finish second. But the NASCAR Cup Series was not road course racing this past week. They went to the mile and a half, as Chad alluded to, at Texas. While it's not one of the more popular mile and a halves, I'm sure some drivers in the Cup Series were happy to get back to the mile and a half intermediate style of racing. And while it put on some great racing, I was not in attendance. Gaming Legend was. I believe Gaming Legend and Kime hosted the racing activities. Gaming Legend, walk us through Friday night's Cup race for us. He's speechless.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good race. It ultimately came down to pit strategy towards the end there. But as far as the first stage win, I think we had one yellow flag during the first stage, and Jay Wood ended up winning the first stage. He had the fastest car probably all night, but there was a mix of leaders throughout the race as everybody was taking a draft and ultimately trying to go to the front. Nobody really dominated, but if you looked at stage results, you would have thought Jay Wood dominated because he ended up winning stage 1 and stage 2. Story Square actually started in about third, but he actually lagged out before we had went green flag loading into the race. I didn't have a good night. I didn't get no stage points. I think I finished like 8th or 9th. But yeah, Jay Wood won both stages, and it actually came down to Jay Wood having an incident from making him lose the race with Kime going to a pit stop. Kime had called out the pit stop. I think Jay Wood said in his interview he thought he was going another lap, kind of got confused, so ultimately ruined Jay Wood's chances of winning the race. And Adam and him were on the same schedule, and Adam ultimately pulled off the victory. But it wasn't an upset by any means, because like I said, Adam had led, I had led, Jay Wood had led, Davey led. I don't know if Kime ever led, but it was a good race all the way around. And our top 3 in that was Adam, Jay Wood, and Davey.
So, how did Texas race compare to Las Vegas and Atlanta, where we seen pack racing?
It was kind of the same. Every once in a great while there'd be 2 or 3 on a pit stop that would come out a little ahead, but ultimately the guys that had 5 or 6 cars in their pack would reel the other three down, and we'd just be in one pack from there on out. I'd say there was more strategy play in Texas than there was Las Vegas, because there was like 3 or 4 of us pitting like 2 laps early, some going 2 or 3 laps late, and then some were like right on the money with pitting, with the amount of fuel that it gave you.
Okay. Do you think that had something to do with the 50% race? Or 3 times wear?
I think it had. I don't know about the 50% part, but I think it definitely had to go with the 3 times wear, just because some people wanted to pit early and be in the lead and pull off, and then pit early versus trying to go late and losing speed.
Okay. So Adam was able to pick up another Cup win this year, and I believe, I don't know how many that is for Adam total. Adam's off to a really, really good start, I must say. I know Adam, the defending Rookie of the Year, he's making his case, and he has already stated he wants that Cup Series title. But props to Adam for winning on Friday. I hated that I wasn't in attendance. I was out of town, and just always hate when I miss races. Never on my agenda, but unfortunately it's just part of it. But that's what really went down this past week. Had a lot of fun, and the intensity level is going to pick up this coming week. We got a lot of dirt action. For those of you that love the dirt scene, this week is going to be made for you. The NASCAR Truck Series returns in action. I know it's been, I think, about 4 weeks since we've had a Truck Series race, but they return tomorrow night, Tuesday night, at Eldora, the only dirt race of the season, the only points race on the dirt on the season. Eldora, 150 laps under the lights. We'll have some heat races, some qualifying, all that jazz going on. It should be a lot of fun. I know we have some guys that get amped up for this race because this is their main stuff. We have our big Eldora Dirt Derby every single year. This is not that event, but this is the prelude for that event. The winner of tomorrow night's race will earn an automatic lock-in bid for the 2024 Dirt Derby. So there's some weights to win that race tomorrow night. So you wanna make sure that you have a good hot rod. Obviously, it's still a normal race. Nothing different other than we'll have some qualifying races to set the grid. INDYCAR this Wednesday does not run the dirt, but they will head to Texas, one of the more favorite tracks on the schedule. The first oval on the schedule we mentioned. That's going to be a barn runner. Mystic going for 4 in a row to start the 2024 season. I know a lot of people are looking to see if he can pull it off. We'll see if Chad shows up. We'll see if Gaming Legend has his game in time to show up. And we'll see if Wade shows up. I know Wade said he's going to show up at Eldora tomorrow. He'll be probably the favorite if he shows up tomorrow. But still, anybody can be beat on any given night. The Xfinity Series is off this Thursday. They don't have a dirt track on the schedule, so they are off this Thursday. The Cup Series is in action, but it will not be on Friday. We mentioned way back early in the season. You can go check it out on the first podcast or the second podcast. We do have select Sunday afternoon races. This week will be one of those races. The Cup Series will make their first ever event in Mystic Racing League on Bristol Dirt. How about that? We'll have some qualifying races, kind of the same format as the Eldora event tomorrow night for the trucks, followed by a big 250-lap main event on the dirt version of Bristol Sunday afternoon. So it will be with the next-gen cars. Everything's the same except preset setups because there are no custom setups for Bristol Dirt. Sunday afternoon. So the Cup Series is off Friday, but they still run this week. It'll be Sunday afternoon. But if you don't get your feel of racing for Mystic Racing League on Sunday, following the NASCAR Cup Series event on Sunday afternoon for our race, we will go straight into the World of Outlaws event Sunday night at I-55. We'll be running the 410 sprint cars, the UMP modifieds, the midgets, and the street stocks. So I believe the Bristol Dirt Race, our green flag, is scheduled for about 4 o'clock, 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I think. So that race should be done about 6-ish, somewhere around there. I'm not sure to be 100%. We'll get started at 7:30, 7 to 7:30 with World of Outlaws coverage at I-55. So almost non-stop dirt racing on Sunday afternoon leading to Sunday evening. So Sunday's going to be a very busy day. So Tuesday with the trucks at Eldora, Wednesday INDYCAR at Texas, and then Sunday 2 races, the Cup Series at Bristol, dirt, and World of Outlaws at I-55. So that's everything going on this week. Man, oh man, I can't wait to get started. I'm not the greatest dirt racer, but man, it's just always a fun week when we get to the dirt and see maybe some surprise winners. We'll have to see. I just, you guys, Chad, Gaming Legend, what do we think about the dirt? I know Gaming Legend, you've been excited. Chad, you feel like the dirt kind of owes you one. What's our opinions leading to Eldora? We'll start with Eldora tomorrow night.
The favorites are in the chat right here.
The favorites are in the chat.
Yep, the favorites are in the chat. Dark Horse, Kyle and Adam. There's my prediction.
You're giving your favorites as you and Gaming Legend, and and you're already going to give me your dark horses as Kyle. I can see that. I can honestly see that. So Kyle and Adam. Kyle ran really good last year in the points race. Has ran good in the Dirt Derby as well before. Adam, haven't seen Adam run that much other than the Dirt Derby, but we'll see. I think he can get it done. Gaming Legend, what's your opinion? What do you think about Eldora?
I think for me personally, we ain't leaving nothing but a fender or with a checkered. We ran about 300 laps by ourselves and probably about 100 with Chad. From what I've seen that people have sent me, we are definitely faster than them. There's been a few, but me and Chad have ultimately been working together, so that has to be the other favorite. I mean,
now
there's some that's probably the favorite for the Eldora Dirt Derby, but won't be.
And we're still trying to get a little faster.
Now I will say, Gaming Legend, you'll be hearing this a lot. Just not probably. I won't be the one that tells you this the most. You have a lot. You have some big shoes to fill because what your brother has accomplished at Eldora, you have some big shoes to fill. This will be your first Eldora event, whether it's a points race or not, in Mystic Racing League. Your brother has ran 2 points races and hasn't won a points race, but he's finished second, and I believe both of them. Has 4 Eldora Dirt Derbies and has an Eldora Dirt Derby trophy. So he has accomplished a lot at Eldora, and a lot of people are going to think you are going to run just like him. So, and I know you have it in you. I'm not saying you don't. You have potential. We've seen what you have accomplished so far in this league. Do you think you have what it takes to shine on the dirt like your brother?
Well, from considering where he learned most of his skills from, I am completely 100% sure that we will do the exact same things that he's done, because for the longest time he wasn't a NASCAR guy. No, I don't know how many people know that, but he wasn't big on racing. His games were Call of Duty and stuff like that. So where he grew up playing offline, well, the person he played offline is in this chat. So he got good because he got tired of getting beat up on all the time. And that's not sugarcoating anything. That's the truth. So, yeah, we know we can do it. Yeah, we won't be surprised if we win tomorrow by 5 seconds. But we also won't be surprised that if Chad wins, because he ultimately has the same truck.
Mystic, and I can elaborate.
His truck, so
I can elaborate on this a little bit too. I have practiced millions of laps with Wade. I have practiced hundreds of thousands of laps with gaming, and they're just the same in practice, man. You got to hum it to try to even stay with them. They practice the same. It's the same thing.
But I will
it's
say,
just like practicing with Wade.
We have never seen anyone just drive away from the field at Eldora. There's always been at least 2 trucks together. Most of the time it is NASCAR Extreme and Wade Gaming. Now, neither one of them will be entered into tomorrow night's race as of now, but NASCAR Extreme has won both points races that we've had. He won 2022 and 2023. He has confirmed he will not be there tomorrow night. So we'll have a different winner for the points race. So it'll be interesting. I think both of you gentlemen have potentials to get it done. I know Chad had a good run last year until I spun out in front of him. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I know a lot of people would love to have that lock-in spot for the Dirt Derby because that means a lot, considering that race is really, really tough and a lot of anticipation on that event.
To go along with my side of it, yeah, we're going for the win tomorrow, but ultimately at the end of the day, if we can extend our points lead to 30 or even bigger than what it is, because it's almost 20 right now. I mean, you want to bring up Wade. Wade hasn't won a NASCAR championship. Yeah, I know it's too early, but if we can ultimately just keep building our points lead, that's just going to be better for us over later on. And but obviously our mindset is to win every race, but looking from later on, we're ultimately more worried about the championship than the Derby race.
I like that attitude. I mean, just take it one step at a time. Think of the bigger picture. You don't want to think too far down the road because that's when you'll start running, not as good as you want. You gotta focus on the next event. But that's enough about Eldora. Let's skip to Bristol Dirt. I think the Bristol Dirt race will have more people talking respectfully than Eldora because there's a lot of unknowns heading to Bristol Dirt. We've never ran there before. It's a long race, a lot longer than Eldora. Next gen cars, okay, preset setups. We'll be having no green flag pit stops in the race. Still a 3-stage race. 1 times wear. I mean, all that going on. But let's talk about the racing aspect. It's going to be very hard to pass, but what are our expectations for that one?
I say it's going to be a dogfest to the top because we had raced there in an off-season league, and ultimately the bottom had what cost us the championship over there because you can't there's no takeoff on the bottom. So if you're restarting second or fourth on the final restart, you're gonna be first and second by the time you get to the backstretch. So it's just gonna be a fight about who can get to the top.
What about you, Chad?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Everybody's going to be a fight to the top, but once you get to the top, then you start worrying about the wall, and the wall comes into play, and they can pass you on the bottom if you slow your momentum on top. I mean, it can be just it's going to be a big wild card race, especially since it's so new. I mean, like I said, we got like 1 race under our belt there, live league race, and it was all right. It seemed like it was more like a plate track, though. Like, everybody could stay together, and you might fall from 1st to 10th and then back up to like 3rd or 4th. This race really weird.
I think, the league race you're referring to is Rollout Racing, correct?
Yes.
And we saw, I don't think, little to zero passes on the bottom all night. I mean, normal concrete Bristol is hard enough to pass on the bottom, but the dirt version, from what we saw that one race, nobody could really get a grip on the bottom. It was a top lane dominant track and race all night long, and it got really wild. There's some drivers left unhappy, some drivers left obviously, hey, this could work, and that's why I think some drivers are kind of timid heading to Sunday's event. But how do you think some drivers are going to approach it, knowing it's a 250 lap race? You can't come down pit road under green. All pit stops will be under caution. And like I said, how do you approach this race? Let's say you have a bad qualifying spot. How do you get to the front?
Be patient. You got to be patient. Be patient and dodge for the first little bit till it gets strung out.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree. If you have a bad qualifying spot, you either want to be patient, getting to the front, or you're going to do the aggressive, move it and the aggressive side and be in a hurry to get to the front, and ultimately that may not pay off, or ultimately it will. It just, I think this is going to be our first race of a game of cat and mouse, because you're not going to want to be in the back, especially the later in the race that you go, because this is probably going to be the hardest track that we pass at all year, I believe.
I could see that. Like I said, a lot of unknowns, and we won't know until the green flag drops. 250 laps, it could seem like a blur, it could seem like an eternity. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. I know Eldor, we got a lot of laps around there. A lot of drivers know what to expect. Some drivers are going to show up, and they know they're not the greatest. They're going to be there. They're probably going to struggle, and it's going to be a good race. Bristol Dirt's the really big question mark that we have yet to open up in Mystic Racing League history, and we'll find that one out. INDYCAR at Texas. We'll get your opinions. Does Mystic make it 4 in a row, or is the streak broke?
It's broke.
I do plan on showing up at this moment in time, so that would maybe jinx you, but I'm still gonna pick you. I don't think they got it. I don't think they got it. They got it figured out yet. JW is getting it figured out. I've raced over there with him. He's real fast. Yeah.
Okay.
You again.
All right.
We're gonna have a double points that league.
Double points. Well, double points. And if I'm winning, that's just worse, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody beats you, you maybe give them double points or something. Because man, this is looking like a feat over there in that IndyCar league. It's adding to your legacy there.
They're going to have to put me in the Hall of Fame or something. The World of Outlaws will get back in action this coming Sunday at I-55, one of the smaller circuits on the calendar this season. 410s are back in action. 410 sprint cars. That should be an absolute war around that little joint. We've added the UMP modifieds this coming weekend, and the midgets are back in action along with the street stocks. Waiting on Chad to make his debut this season. And Gaming Legend, I know while you haven't had the success in some classes, you're starting to get back on your feet. Had a good run this past week ago. But what are our expectations for I-55, a little bull ring?
Go ahead, Chad.
I haven't raced like in a while over there, but that's gonna be entertaining.
410 race should
probably
make
more
it
fun.
Wild.
Yeah, that one. Like I said, you breathe on them tires and you're wheel to wheel. Yeah.
The more important question is, when are you showing up?
When am I showing up? Yeah, I know. I've got a lot of laps around the track and on that game. I just ain't played it in a while. I guess we'll plug her back up and make some few practice laps with old Chris over there and see what turns out.
I believe and I hope that I will continue my streak in the street stocks. We don't really care about any other classes besides that one. That's the one we're going for the championship. We just run to help MRL and the other classes and get numbers. But modifieds, I'd say probably me or Jay Wood if Jay Wood shows up. Kill a City in the sprints. Midgets, I'll go Garnzay. But as far as the racing, I think it'll be hard racing like it always is. And yeah, I believe it'll be just hard racing around our little. I think it's 3/4 mile. I don't remember how short. I know it's very, very short, but I can't remember exact. But yeah, we've already been practicing, so we already know what we're doing for all our classes. Know what we're doing for the sliders and on the midgets and street stock. So yeah, it'll be fun as always.
Well, can you imagine winning the Bristol Dirt Racing Cup and then going to World of Outlaws and getting a win over there? How that would make your Sunday?
It'd make my Sunday, but it'd be an even better week if I was able to win tomorrow and then win on one of our Outlaws.
There you go. But man, we got a week of a lot of fun, a lot of questions to be answered if you want the truth ahead of us. But Chad, Gaming Legend, I appreciate both of you joining me tonight. A lot of fun. Hopefully we can make this a regular weekly thing. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add? Any?
I hope everyone had a good Easter. Yeah, I hope everybody had safe travels. Yeah, hope it was a good one.
Yep.
Hope we can see y'all later in the week, and if we don't see you then, catch you next week on the podcast.
Chad, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, y'all come join up, race with us. I'm gonna try to make a couple more debuts across the series here. It's a long year. I'll be there, and I'll eventually get there.
There we go. This has been Mystic Racing League MRL Radioactive Episode 12 featuring Gaming Legend 41 and Chad VFL 07. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. A reminder, if you are new to the stream, make sure you subscribe, like the content if you enjoyed. If you're interested in racing any of our leagues, you can message me, S4G Mystic on PlayStation. That's S4, number 4, G _ Mystic, MYSTIC. And we'll get you hooked up for everything or anything that you may need. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me tonight. Thank you guys in the stream for tuning in tonight. We hope to see you at our first race tomorrow night of the week. The Truck Series return at Eldora. And like I said, like Chris alluded to just a moment ago, hopefully everyone had a great Easter holiday. We're back to action tomorrow night, and we hope to see you there. Thank you guys once again, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.